War breaks out. Who makes the most money? And more importantly, how? Not the ones holding rifles, not the ones refreshing headlines, and definitely not the crowd in panic. It's smart money. The institutions that don't react to war, they position before it. By the time you see conflict begins, for them, the game is already well underway. They don't trade the event, they trade the aftermath. What smart money waits for isn't the outbreak of war. They wait for imbalance. Imbalance in energy, in liquidity, in expectations. And when that imbalance stretches far enough, that's when they move. War is just the catalyst. What actually makes money is the chain reaction that follows. Energy gets distorted, inflation gets forced higher, central banks get pushed to shift policy. Each move creates a wave of capital, and smart money doesn't miss waves. So, how do they make money? Not by guessing the news, but by standing in front of forced flows. When corporations must hedge costs, when funds are forced to de-risk, when governments have to issue debt, those are predictable flows. And smart money is already on the other side. They buy when others are forced to sell. They sell when others are forced to buy. No emotion, no belief, only positioning. In the early phase of war, markets always deliver a shock. Volatility spikes, liquidity vanishes, weak positions get wiped out. That's not chaos, that's cleansing. And once the market is cleaned, real positioning begins. You see opportunity when things become clear. They see opportunity when things are still unclear. That's the core difference. The crowd needs certainty. Smart money needs dislocation. Dislocation between price and reality, between fear and flow, between narrative and structure. War amplifies every one of those gaps, and that's why the biggest profits never come from stability. They come from moments when the system is stretched to its limits. But here's what matters most. Smart money doesn't wait for the war to end. They wait for the moment when policy is forced to pivot, liquidity is forced back into the system, confidence begins to crack. That's the moment the entire system shifts regime. And if you're positioned correctly at that moment, you don't need to be right many times. You just need to be right once. But there's a deeper question, a colder one. If big money doesn't react to war, then when do they begin? The answer is not at the moment war breaks out. It begins in the phase most people still call stability, the phase where everything looks normal, growth is still there, markets are still trading, media is still talking about familiar things, but underneath, the structure has already started to shift. Smart money doesn't wait for events. They read distortion. A financial system never collapses overnight. It drifts away from equilibrium. And if you look deep enough, you start to see the early signals. Not in the headlines, in the boring things. Yield curves, cost of capital, credit flows, energy balances, foreign reserves. Start with the cost of capital. When rates begin to rise, the crowd thinks it's about controlling inflation. But to smart money, it's a signal of pressure. Pressure on debt systems. Pressure on economies dependent on cheap capital. Pressure on financial structures built on leverage. Rising capital costs don't just slow growth, they suffocate the weakest links first. Over-leveraged corporations, deficit-heavy nations, thinly capitalized banking systems. This is where war begins, in financial form, not with bullets, but with pressure. And when pressure builds, the system needs an outlet. History shows that outlet is rarely peaceful. Smart money understands this. They don't need to know where war will happen. They just need to see who is being squeezed, who is out of balance, who is being forced to restructure. From there, they position. Next comes energy. You cannot understand war if you don't understand energy. Oil, gas, coal, they're not just commodities. They are the foundation of economic power. When you see supply tightening underinvestment in production, fragile transportation routes, that's not a short-term issue. That's a signal of latent conflict. When energy becomes unstable, the entire system becomes fragile because everything runs on energy. Smart money doesn't wait for oil prices to spike. They study the structure beforehand. They ask, who controls supply? Who depends on imports? Who can be choked? And they position for that shift. After energy comes currency. In a stable world, currency is just a medium of exchange. In a stressed world, currency becomes a weapon. When you see foreign reserves being deployed, exchange rates tightly, managed countries trading outside traditional systems, these are not isolated events. They are signs of a shifting order. Smart money doesn't debate which currency will win. They track flow. where money is leaving, where money is moving toward. Because when capital leaves one region, it doesn't disappear, it repositions. This is the key. Before physical war begins, there is always financial war. Nations prepare by building reserves, reducing dependencies, controlling capital flows, restructuring supply chains. These actions leave footprints, and smart money reads them. They don't need news, they need data. But data isn't just numbers on a screen, it's behavior. The behavior of central banks, the behavior of governments, the behavior of large corporations. When an energy company starts allocating aggressively into a risky region, that's not random. When a nation accumulates strategic resources, that's not short term. Every major action has logic behind it, and that logic is always tied to power and survival. Smart money doesn't try to predict when war will happen. They identify when the system is no longer stable. Because once stability breaks, an event becomes a matter of time. This is where most people fail. They wait for confirmation. They need headlines. They need clear evidence. But by the time evidence appears, the market has already moved. Smart money doesn't need certainty. They need probability. If the probability of an event is high enough and the payoff is asymmetric enough, they act. But they don't go all in. They build positions, step by step, quietly, without attention. They accumulate assets that are mispriced because the market hasn't priced in the risk yet. They sell or hedge what is vulnerable. And most importantly, they preserve liquidity. Liquidity is power. In stable times, it's a tool. In unstable times, it's a weapon. When war begins, those with liquidity have choice. Those without are forced to react. Smart money is always on the side that has a choice. They don't try to make money in every move. They wait for the moment when the market is imbalanced, flows are forced, pricing is distorted. That's when they accelerate. Before that, they wait. But waiting doesn't mean doing nothing. Waiting means preparing the portfolio, preparing the strategy, preparing the mindset. Because when real opportunity shows up, it doesn't last. It comes fast and disappears even faster. That's why most people miss it. Not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack readiness. Smart money is always ready. They don't need to be right many times. But when the moment comes, they must be in the right position. War doesn't begin when the first shot is fired. It begins when the market loses its ability to price reality. The first hours, news flooding in, prices jumping violently, spreads widening, liquidity disappearing from places once considered safe. Most people call this chaos. But to smart money, this is when structure becomes visible. The first shock isn't about reflecting information. It's about testing the system. Who is over-leveraged? Who is positioned on the wrong side? Who lacks liquidity? The market doesn't ask if you're right or wrong. It asks one thing: can you survive? Within hours, sometimes minutes, weak positions are forced out. Margin calls hit. Funds are forced to de-risk. Corporations hedge at any cost. This is forced flow, and forced flow always leaves footprints. Smart money doesn't jump into chaos. They stand where liquidity will return because they understand after the shock comes the vacuum, and after the vacuum comes trend formation. This is the core principle. Prices don't move because of news. Prices move because of forced flows. In war, forced flows are everywhere. Energy must be repriced instantly. Transport must hedge rising costs. Financial institutions must defend balance sheets. These actions are not optional. They are mandatory. And when action is mandatory, it becomes predictable. Smart money doesn't need the next headline. They need to know who will be forced to buy, who will be forced to sell. And when that pressure hits, the first hours are elimination. The next days are construction. After the shock, the market doesn't calm down. It restructures. Liquidity comes back, but not in the same places. Capital flows into assets that are directly tied to conflict, benefit from instability, or serve as defensive shelters. This is when the narrative starts forming. But understand this clearly. Narratives don't drive flows. Flows create narratives. By the time you hear the story, the big positions are already built. Smart money doesn't buy the story. They sell the story to the crowd. This is the phase where many feel like they finally understand the market. They see logic. They see trends. They gain confidence. And that moment is where risk is highest. Because when everything feels clear, most of the profit is already gone. Smart money starts doing the opposite. They scale down exposure, they protect gains, they prepare for the next phase. The cycle of war doesn't stop at the shock, it moves through three phases: shock, expansion, exhaustion. Shock, liquidity is pulled, weak hands are wiped out. Expansion, capital flows into winning assets, trends become obvious. Exhaustion, flows slow down, narratives peak, reversal risk rises. Most participate in phase two. Smart money profits from all three. But the biggest returns always come from positioning early and acting during the shock. This is where discipline matters more than analysis. In wartime markets, mistakes are not forgiven. One wrong position can be erased before you can react. That's why smart money doesn't chase profit first. They manage risk first. They don't ask, how much can I make? They ask, how much can I lose if I'm wrong? And from that, they build positions. Not too large, not too early, not too confident. They let the market confirm in layers, and they scale as probability shifts in their favor. This is what 99% cannot do. They either stay out because of fear or go in too big because of greed. Both lead to the same outcome. They get removed from the game. War doesn't reward the smartest, it rewards the most disciplined. And discipline doesn't come from knowledge, it comes from a system you trust, a system you can execute, even when emotions fight you. Smart money doesn't rely on emotion, they rely on process. That process includes reading flows, identifying forced positioning, managing risk, and exiting when the narrative peaks. It sounds simple, but in reality, very few can do it. Because wartime markets don't just test skill, they test psychology. Can you handle volatility? Can you stay disciplined when everything moves fast? Can you accept being wrong and cut losses quickly? If the answer is no, then war is not an opportunity. It's a trap. And here's the part few will tell you. Not everyone should be trading in this environment. High opportunity always comes with high risk. Volatility can create fast profits, but it can destroy accounts even faster. If you don't have a clear system, no risk management, no discipline, then the best position is to stay out. Not trading is also a position. This is not an invitation to jump in. It's a warning to understand the game. Smart money survives long term, not because they're always right, but because they always stay alive. And if you want to stay in this game long enough, you must put survival before profit. War will end, cycles will shift, capital will move on to the next opportunity. The only question is, will you still be there to see it? If you want to go deeper into reading flows, building systems, and maintaining discipline when the market tests you the hardest, follow and subscribe to Trading Mindset Lab, not to chase trades, but to understand how the market truly works, and more importantly, how you operate inside it.